Hi everybody, Corey here. So I'm here today with an exciting video going through all of the sequels to Owlcrate books that are coming out in 2020. I did one of these videos last year and I thought it was time for an update because there are many sequels coming out to Owlcrate books this year that we really need to get to. Now, I'm not going to get into too much details about the books, as obviously these are sequels and I don't want to spoil you if you haven't read the first book yet. But I will go into what the length of the series is, whether this is a final book in a series, date it's out, etc. so you guys can mark your calendars. So the first book is actually already out. It came out on January 7th, and that is The Night Country by Melissa Albert. This was actually kind of a surprise for us. When we included the Hazelwood, as far as we were aware, it was a standalone book. So when it was announced that there was a sequel coming out, we were super excited. I will say I've actually already read The Night Country. I binge read it over a couple days and it is fantastic. I think it might be even better than the first book, so if you enjoyed the Hazelwood at all, definitely give number 2 a try. So that was the only book out in January, but in February we have the sequel to Crown of Feathers coming out, Heart of Flames by Nicki Preto. This is the second book in a proposed trilogy, and if you weren't already aware, we currently have a special edition of Heart of Flames available at shop.owlcrate.com that has a special cover. It's signed and it has beautiful sprayed edges that are just, we've seen them recently and they are stunning. So if you're at all interested in this, I recommend going to pick it up because it is a very limited print run on that. But yeah, so if you loved Crown of Feathers, book 2 is out on February 11th. Not long to wait now. I cannot wait to get my hands on it. So none of our sequels are coming out in March, but in April we do have a couple, starting with Night of the Dragon by Julie Kagawa. This is the third and final book in the Shadow of the Fox trilogy. I will say when I was reading Soul of the Sword, I thought it was a duology, so I was very confused when we got to the end of that book. So thank goodness it's actually a trilogy. This book comes out on April 2nd. The other sequel that's coming out in April is Ruthless Gods by Emily A. Duncan. This is the follow-up to Wicked Saints, which we included last year, and it is the second book in a proposed trilogy. I am so excited for Ruthless Gods. Wicked Saints ended in a, frankly, quite rude manner. But I'm definitely excited for this follow-up. I think it's going to be darker and grittier, even more than the first book, and we do have something special coming. We haven't made the announcement yet, but stay tuned. Something special will be happening from us with Ruthless Gods. Also, I don't think I said it, but Ruthless Gods comes out on April 7th. Next, we have one book coming out in May, and that is Court of Lions by Somaiya Daud. This is the long-awaited sequel to Mirage, which we included back in 2018, and this is going to be a duology, and I'm so excited to read the second and final book. I think Mirage is just like an underrated sci-fi fantasy. It had such a rich and cool world, and I'm definitely excited to explore more of it in this next book. And Court of Lions comes out on the 5th of May. Moving on to June, the next book is not so much a sequel as a companion, but that is My Calamity Jane by the Lady Janies. We have included both My Plain Jane and My Lady Jane in our boxes, so obviously we love this series, and this is the third and final book in this companion series, and this one has more of a Western feel to it, so I'm very excited. And if you were also unaware, it's been announced that the Lady Janies, the Lady Marys, have a new series coming out that's based on Marys, on fictional Marys. There's going to be My Contrary Mary, which is based on Mary, Queen of Scots, and based in the world of My Lady Jane. There's going to be My Atomic Mary, which is going to be about Mary Curie, and then there's My Typhoid Mary, which is going to be about Mary Mallon. So excited for that. They are just such funny and hilarious writers, and I will read anything they write together because it always just puts a smile on my face. And My Calamity Jane comes out on June 2nd. Next, we have two books, both coming out on the 7th of July. The first one being Unravel the Dusk, the sequel to Spin the Dawn, the second book in this Spin the Dawn duology. Love the first book, super excited for this next book, super excited for this trend of duologies. I think it's just so much fun and like an easier commitment than a trilogy or longer. And the next book is We Free the Stars by Hafsah Faizal, which is the sequel to We Hunt the Flame, which was one of my favorite books of last year. I loved it, I adored it. I thought this was going to be a trilogy, but this is a duology, and again, I'm fine with it. I love it, but I love Hafsah's writing, so of course I would always take more. Funny story, today we got a package in the mail that on the outside said, "We free the stars," and I thought we were gonna get an early copy of it. Turns out it was mislabeled, something else was inside, but I got very excited. I think We Hunt the Flame as a debut was amazing, and I can't wait to pick this up on July 7th. Next up is a book that was another surprise for all of us here, and that is the third book in the Gentleman's Guide trilogy now, and that is the Nobleman's Guide to Shipwrecks and Scandal by Mackenzi Lee. This book is coming out on August 18th, and it was another, like, completely took us off guard, didn't know it was happening, and when Mackenzi announced it, everybody just went wild. This is about Percy's younger brother and his adventures when he's older, and apparently Percy and Monty are still in it and still together, so I'm thrilled. I would definitely be reading this book. Now we have 3 sequels coming out in September. September and October are always big months for releases. The first one being what is one of my most anticipated books of the year, and that is Queen of Volts by Amanda Foody, the third and final book in the Shadow Game trilogy. The first one was Ace of Shades. I love Amanda Foody's writing, and this world is so interesting, and I love these characters. I really love books that kind of feature found family, which again has happened in these books, and I just love it. I cannot wait to see how Amanda has decided to end this trilogy, although I am sad to see the characters go. Next up is a book that was originally slotted to be published in February of this year, but it has been the publication date has been pushed to September 22nd, and that is The Silvered Serpents by Roshani Chokshi. We have been assured, Roshani has said that although there are arcs out in the world, the publication date change wasn't due to anything significant changing in the arc. So if you have an arc, you are allowed to read it, you'll still get that story. It was just something to do with the publishing world. Something weird things happen in publishing. So that's the reason it got pushed, but another book that I have already read, and The Silvered Serpents, guys, was amazing. It's full, again, like Queen of Volts, has the found family. This one's set in Russia. It has that cold, icy setting to it. These characters are so full of angst because of events from the first book, which you would expect, but I'm living for it. I'm a little bit sad that I read it so early because now I have to wait so long for the third book in the trilogy. And the way that this book ended, I wasn't mad about it, but I could use some more. Such a fantastic series. That comes out on September 22nd. Next up is Ironheart, which actually comes out before The Silvered Serpents on September 8th, and this is the sequel to Crier's War, which is going to be another duology. I feel like I read Crier's War so recently, so talking about the sequel coming out is like blowing my mind, but yes, it's coming out in September. I really enjoyed Crier's War. It has that great blend of sci-fi and fantasy and steampunk to it. And I'm just curious to see how the second book is gonna go, because I honestly have no predictions, but I'll be picking it up on September 8th when it comes out to find out. Now I have 2 more books. These don't have an official publication date yet, but they are slotted to be released in 2020. It's only January, so there's still time. And that is the third book in the Girls of Paper and Fire series by Natasha Ngan, and I still haven't read the second book in this series, and shame on me. I need to get to it because I loved Girls of Paper and Fire. Yes, so I'm gonna get to the second one and hopefully the third one too this year. When it comes out, I'm assuming later in the fall, typically. And then the last book is a book that we just sent out in our box, and that is the second book in the Camelot series by Kiersten White. Again, we sent that in December, so I'm assuming this will come out in November or December of 2020. It's a fun Arthurian retelling, fast-paced. There's twists and turns. I did not call the twist at the ending, I will tell you that, and I will for sure be picking up book 2 when it gets a release date. Alright, so that is all of the Owlcrate sequels that are coming out in 2020. Let me know which ones you are most excited for, which ones you've marked on your calendar. If you have read any of them already, we're lucky enough to do that, let me know. It's a great year for sequels, and I have a lot of things on my calendar to get to this year, so fingers crossed for me. Alright you guys, if you like this video, please give it a big thumbs up and subscribe for more. Happy reading and thanks for being awesome. Bye!